Hey, what's up, everybody out there on the internet? It's Tuesday, June 10th. We're back again here at the shop for another Two Fish Tuesday. We've changed up. We're doing things every other week, but we're going to continue talking about business verticals, especially dental offices, endodontists, maxillofacial surgery, and please, Mandy Booth Ollinger, if you're listening to this and I'm pronouncing things wrong, don't hold it against me.
We're in West Texas. We get a pass on pronunciation all the time.
We get a pass on pronunciation. Yeah. The reason why we're really, working in dental practices is because there's such a need for backups. That is a huge thing, and I didn't realize that until I started working with Two Fish. Josh's wife, Jamie, is still a licensed dental hygienist, and she comes from this world. That's kind of how you, I hate to say entered into, because I know your banking background was so big, but working with customers, working with clients, and getting in with them, learning about their needs. A lot of that happened in dental offices.
Yeah, one of our first kind of, I'll say, major customers was a dental office. So kind of near and dear to my heart. Cut my teeth in the MSP world with them. So
and I hope that's the pun intended.
Yes.
Cut my teeth.
Yes.
And
I'm glad you picked up on that.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, hey, let's get into it, because I know you've got several points for us.
Absolutely.
All dealing with backup.
Yes.
And the importance of backups and HIPAA compliance cannot be left out of this discussion. And I know in your notes you'll get there. So I'm just going to turn it over to you.
Okay.
And I'll pop in with some questions from time to time. But inform us, instruct us, educate us.
Yeah. So first off, we just want to stress that backups are like the most critical thing I think that we do for all of our customers, not just dental clients, but it is, and I tell our staff all the time, backups are the most important thing we do. Even our sales guys, when they're out there, if we don't do anything else, we just want to make sure that our customers' data is safe. So it's one of the most important things that we do, if not the most important, in my opinion. It protects you from data loss from like an act of God or a power surge or heaven forbid, like a cyber attack or even like an internal threat, like you have a disgruntled employee that's going out the door and just decides to delete stuff, which we've seen that before, unfortunately. But so it's one of the most important things we do. And so I'm just going to kind of break down kind of best practices, explain a little bit about kind of the new methodologies and all that stuff. Yeah. Try to keep it at a high level. I don't want to get too nerdy. But
well, no, I think that's great, because in my background, coming from working in the House of Representatives for Congressman Thornberry, working on the Gulf Coast Claims Facility on the BP oil spill, all of these backups, we knew that they were happening, but we didn't have a hand in them. So the methodology, like you're talking about, best practices, I mean, that's something that I'm interested in learning about for my own business. So
yes, sir.
Let's get into it.
So when I first started in IT, this kind of moniker first came out. So the first point is the 3-2-1 backup scheme. So it's really easy to remember, but it's just 3 copies of your data on 2 different media types or 2 different places with 1 off-site copy. So 3-2-1.
Copies of your data. We're talking patient records. We're talking in this data. And we're sticking with dental offices. What do we see taking up the majority of that data?
Oh, for sure, x-rays. So we just opened a new endodontist office in town, and the technology is coming a long way really fast. And so we installed a 3D pano unit, right? So it's, if you're the patient, you're standing there and this thing like spins around your head. But it's alive now. So they literally... Like, I haven't even seen a live one until we installed this one.
You mean it paints the picture
like live? Like, you can actually watch in real time as it's capturing the image, and I don't know, it's really, really cool. But as cool as that is, that's a ton of data. Those images are huge. And you're required to keep up with that information and have it backed up as well and secure. And so, Yeah, it's that's probably the majority is just the images. So the panos and the X-ray images and stuff like that. So
regular files, and because this is a HIPAA compliant business, that's where the two different media types become a little bit more important to make sure you're compliant on everything.
Yes, sir.
3, 2, 1. Three copies of your data, two different media types, one offsite copy.
Yeah, and the media types can just be like, you have it on your server, and then you have maybe a local backup device. So we use a NAS, which just stands for Network Attached Storage.
Okay.
So it's basically just a little baby file server. So it's full of hard drives. It's internally redundant, and it's fast. It's usually pretty fast storage. Back in days past, we used to put really slow hard drives in there because it was like, oh, it's just backing up files. But now it needs
pulling it on tape again.
Yeah. I remember tape backups too. I don't miss those days, but man, having to keep up with that. But no, so it's just a little file server. It's connected to your network, and it has backup software that's running, capturing all that stuff. So that's examples of what the media type can be. And then the one offsite storage, you have options there too. So we tend to offer both a cloud HIPAA compliant, like cloud-based backup service. But then with those little devices that we have, we can actually make them mirror to another device offsite. So we put it in the shop. Doctor can lock it up at home or whatever. As long as it has an internet connection, they'll actually sync up, so you can have an offsite copy of even your local backups, which is great. So it helps with downtime and stuff like that, which we'll get into in a minute.
Awesome. So let's keep going.
Yeah.
Immutable versus standard backup. Now, we've talked quite about immutable, and I think that's a word that I know you and I are close to because of our faith, the immutable God, and how he's never changing.
Yep.
And this is something that when I learned about immutable backups, it's just automatic. Yep, that's going to be your best secure storage backup.
Yeah, absolutely. Option. Absolutely. So there's you can have standard backups, which they can be overwritten, they can be deleted, right? And that's okay if you're doing like non-critical data, just inter-office scans and stuff like that. But if you have risky data, sensitive information, protected information,
this would really be your PII, your patient, sensitive data. And,
yes, sir. Yeah, and you definitely don't want them on what we would call a standard backup anymore. So the cloud backup service that we offer is what's considered to be an immutable backup. So as soon as the backup's taken, it's literally locked down by policy, so nothing can change those backup files. You still have access to download them and use it, but they will not change. So
does it get taken off the network? Does that ability for that file to be touched by a network get taken, like disconnected from?
Yeah, so the service that we use, they have like 8 different data centers across the country. And at each site, they have what's called cold storage and warm storage. So they have the live data that's still immutable, so it can't change, that we access through the portal and all that stuff, so that we can recover a file or recover a database or whatever, or a full server. Or they also have a cold storage, so they take the backup files that we send and they actually keep them offline for, I think we have a 30-day policy with them, so they're offline for 30 days. As soon as they get them. So, it's great. So, and for dental practices in particular, keeping that patient information safe is very, very important. So it helps you prevent, and kind of the idea behind it is that it's ransomware kind of aware. So we'll skip ahead one, but like ransomware in your backups can absolutely lock down your backup files as well. And a lot of people don't realize that. They just think, oh, I'm backing it up to, maybe like a local iDrive or something like that. And it is absolutely susceptible to like a ransomware event. So the immutable backups mean when we take them, even if there's a ransomware event or something like that, they're locked down. Even ransomware can't.
Disconnected from that ransomware group from being able to touch them.
Yep. Absolutely. For sure. So I skipped ahead one, but
No,
I'll introduce the next one. So we're doing image versus file folder backup. So the old school mentality was just backing up all your files and folders. The problem with that is if you have a database, it's way harder to recover because you have to recover you have to rebuild the database and all that kind of stuff.
put everything back in order, in file.
Yep. Yeah. And it takes quite a bit of time and some expertise to do that. But with image-based backups, which is what we offer, you can have the benefit of file folder backup. So you can still pull a folder, just download a data file or whatever it might be, PDFs or images or x-rays, right? So you can still download those, but we keep a full image of the system. So what that means is we're capturing a snapshot of whatever machine we're backing up. And that snapshot is so good that we actually boot that in the cloud and we get verification that it's a good backup and the backup's working.
That's what I was fixing to ask. Okay, so is that the type of backup that you can then, everything crashes at the office, but you can go home and boot back up off of a server that's not connected to you?
Yeah, we just created a virtual server in the cloud, boot it up, and with some networking magic, we can actually get you back up and running just over, like a side-to-side VPN or something like that, back to that machine.
Now, would this be a good place? Because I see under image backups that you've got some third-party software listed there. Would this be a good place for you to maybe tell us just that little bit more about how Two Fish helps dental offices with that third-party software? Making sure that everything is talking together the way it should be, built the way it should be, so that the dental offices can be users of the software instead of
in-house experts of this. Yeah, absolutely. So we're really familiar with almost all of the dental suites at this point, like the Dentrixes and the EagleSofts and all of those, and even the specific ones. So like endodontist specific software is different from like a general dentistry office would use and things like that because they have different needs, right? And so we're really good with all of those. We have good relationships with all the vendors, the software developers. We have great relationships with even the companies like Sirona or like Dexis or any of those guys who are actually making the like intraoral x-ray sensors and all of that stuff. And we're really good at tying all of that in. So I'll give you an example. Just last week, or no, it was Monday. I apologize. It was yesterday. One of our dental clients, the office manager ordered some new sensors just for the intraoral stuff. So it's the most awkward fun you'll ever have at a dental office.
Wand when they take the wand and go?
Well, kind of. So this is the one where they stick the thing with the cord into your mouth and you have to like bite down and it's super uncomfortable. And then they take the big gun and they like shoot, right? It's called the Nomad, but they shoot the x-ray. So they ordered new sensors because, people bite the cords because it's coming out of their mouth and they eventually go bad. It's just a fact of life, right? And if you're a dentist and you're watching this, you're probably laughing. But they, the cords literally get chewed on. And so eventually, you have to replace those every once in a while. And so she had ordered some new sensors, and they were from a new vendor. She'd never installed these sensors before.
Okay.
They have EagleSoft, and so I just came in after hours Monday and installed the drivers, did the integration between EagleSoft and the new sensors, so that they could take images inside the software. So that's all. That's all what we do.
And that's coming from an ag background, I understand that everything has its own software now. But when we were growing up, it didn't. So it's interesting to learn about all the different places that sensors we wouldn't have thought about beforehand, and then the need for someone who can come in and make sure that the sensor talks with the device, that talks with the software, that's talking with the other software, to put everything together.
Yeah, it's very important. So
ransomware aware. Now we did kind of go through that. Is there anything else we need to hit on?
I would just say to kind of touch on this because we haven't talked about it much. backups should be ransomware aware. The system that we use, both systems for local backups and for the cloud backups, 3, 2, 1, get up multiple spots. Both of them are ransomware aware. So they constantly monitor the files that are in storage. And if they see those file extensions changing, it means, probably
something's in there messing with
something's
it.
up. And they will actually detach themselves from the network. They'll disconnect. It's really, really cool. So, and then we even get alerts on it and stuff like that, which hopefully by then we would have already known something is up. But they're ransomware aware, which is cool. But the thing I really wanted to talk about, you can have the best backups in the world. You can have the coolest systems in the world, which I kind of think we do. I'm a little partial, but if you're not testing them regularly, it doesn't matter, because without proper vetting of your systems and testing occasionally and making sure that you can recover from backup or recover from a disaster or whatever, it doesn't really matter what you're doing, right? So we do have a note in here that just means it's just saying you need to test your backups.
You need to test
Super
your backups.
important. Yeah.
Does that happen generally whenever you're running a pen test as well? Or would pen testing for a dental office be different than?
Yeah, we use different methodology for our pen testing. So we don't actually go and manipulate files and stuff. We're mostly looking at what's running on the network, what's open, what's accessible through standard permissions versus administrator permissions, things like that. So yeah, we're not actually manipulating anything when we do a pen test. We're just kind of knocking on the door and see what door's open and what's not, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. But it sounds like it's in the same vein of protection by white hat hacking, protection by hacking yourself before someone else can have the opportunity.
Yeah, that's absolutely what it is. You're right.
Yeah.
So another term that gets floated around, if you're shopping for backups or you have an IT guy that's kind of throwing this out there, the word is deduplication, and it's kind of a weird term, kind of confusing, but it is exactly what it sounds like. If you have multiple copies of, say, because you're supposed to have multiple copies, right? But say you have an X-ray, like you take an X-ray and it gets stored in a repository, and then that gets copied over to maybe the database that your practice management software is using, whatever. So there's multiple copies of maybe the same file. Our systems will actually go in and run what's called deduplication. So it can tell that there's multiple copies, and it basically it keeps the one copy of the file, but then it keeps the metadata around the other ones, so that the backups know that that's the same file, but it saves you on storage space, which is great, because like I said, we talked about it earlier, a lot of those files can be pretty big, which means you have to really, the more data you have, the more expensive it gets to back this stuff up.
Right.
And so we make an effort to keep that volume of data down through what's called deduplication. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really neat. That would be handy for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that I have the same files in a download folder and 3 others.
I think my downloads folder is the biggest folder on my MacBook right now, so I totally understand what you're saying. So, cool. So the next point is just time to recover.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes hand in hand with the testing. So we keep a local backup that's on a network attached storage device that's usually got solid state hard drives in it. So they're the kind of new storage that's way faster than the traditional, platter spinny disk,
right.
Storage. So we keep those locally because it's quicker to recover from if we need to. So we keep that local, and then the cloud backups are kind of dependent on your internet connection for your time to recover, because you have to download all of your information from the cloud, right? And so we do. Yeah, so we do both. So we have the ability to recover from both, but in case an event happens that takes out the local backup, hopefully we have that offsite local backup to recover from. But if something even happens to that, then we have the cloud backups that we can lean on.
3, 2,
That's right.
1.
Absolutely. And those image backups can definitely take longer, like I said, because it is a full-blown image of your machine or your server. But it's like I said, if we have them locally, it's way quicker to recover from than the cloud.
Time aside, yeah, it might take a little bit of time, but having the data and being able to put it back up where you need to be, so you're not missing out on the next day of work. So you're able to get your entire office back up and running if it might be over the weekend. Plus, when events happen, they have to be notified. They have to do certain things in a certain period of time. So this just all helps the dental office, check the right boxes and make sure that it's not just a check box. There's actually a well thought out reason why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. We totally understand when you're not seeing patients, you're not making money, right? And so we fully take that into account when we design your backup solution, and that kind of leads us into the next point. It's just how backups fit into your disaster recovery plan. So you're required to have some sort of a DR or disaster recovery plan as far as your HIPAA compliance goes, and we actually help write those. So we don't do it very often, but we do have the ability to do that, and we do like to help with that. Even just reviewing it afterwards. So a lot of our dental clients will, the office manager is usually the one that designs it all and writes it all out. They have great templates online for it that are, like $5 or whatever, you can get it, right?
Right.
And we have those too. But they'll send them to us and we'll review them and make sure things are accurate. If maybe they missed something in there, we can kind of update it for them and send it back to them. So one of the main things that any I'll say regulatory entity is looking for is how your backups fit in your DR plan. That's usually the first section they skip to review that stuff. And I've seen that firsthand, like in the banking world especially. They will almost always skip to the backup plan first.
Looking for those best practices in that vertical.
Yep.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, sir.
So when we talk about the backups, and we've been talking about third-party software integration, all of these things are included in Toothfish's cyber suite. And that's what I like about your suite, is that I need cybersecurity. Y'all have already figured out what's needed, what's best right now, and keep an eye on how that's coming to the future. And that includes your backups, that includes everything. So building that disaster recovery plan for a dental office or another business, if you don't have something that you can back up on that tells you how to do these important things, in the event of a crisis, you're going to forget how to do them. And that's why, I can definitely see the need for this type of DR plan.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a great documentation portal that we actually extend to our customers as well. And it keeps track of your DR plans. So it's literally it has a section that's built to do that.
Helps to make sure that you're keeping everything in check.
It documents it, and even has checklists in there. And then if you're a customer of ours, like a contract customer of ours, we even pull in all of your information into that plan. So all of your documentation comes in automatically. So the network diagram, the device information, the software versions, and like what's installed where and where things are stored, it all comes in automatically, including like your of course we encrypt it,
right?
But even your like key passwords and things like that, Active Directory accounts, like we just keep all of that, and it gets pulled in automatically to that plan, which is really, really handy. It saves a ton of time.
Well, it's saving time, and just the headache of not having to, for a business owner, not having to become an expert in these areas that, to them, they don't see it as helping them, make money in their business and provide something to the bottom line.
Absolutely.
But as soon as an event occurs, you're going to be glad that you have somebody like Toothfish in your corner that has already put the work in here.
Yeah, I can't do a root canal, right?
Right.
And I can absolutely do this.
I mean,
so I don't.
You're a smart guy.
Well, I could probably figure it out.
Yeah, you couldn't do it well, but
no, I would not want to be on the receiving end of that. But kind of the same goes for any of our customers. But I do use that analogy a lot when we're visiting with our customers and our business review meetings that we have and stuff like that. They kind of get and it's important to them. It's their practice, but they get into the weeds on some of these details, and I'm always like, you just worry about what you do. We explain high level, make sure things are done really well. But we're a partner that you can absolutely trust. That we're experts in this, so that you can continue to be an expert in what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So,
But hey, walk us through our last point here: cost versus value, because this is where it comes down to. You're all of these things. You're going in to show the value of these backups.
Absolutely.
Show the value of doing backups correctly in your business, and I think that's why I think cybersecurity and network security gets glossed over, and business owners don't want to come have that conversation because they're afraid of the cost. They're afraid of what's in the weeds, and they don't want to become the expert on it. So cost, value.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the desire sometimes is just to check the box for the requirement that you have the cheapest way that you can. But that doesn't always mean you're getting the value that you need from what you're paying for. It's that old adage, you get what you pay for.
Right.
Now, backups do involve cost. You have to purchase the little network storage devices. You have to pay for the cloud backup plan. But an $8 to $12 to $1,600 device, depending on how much storage we have, or a $75 a month immutable HIPAA compliant cloud backup plan is kind of it pales in comparison to what you would have to pay for if you didn't have that.
If you didn't have,
the lost man hours of rebuilding data, and the reputational risk you take, or the reputational hit you take,
the hope that your business insurance has the right policy, and that you have done what you need to do for that policy to carry out. But
absolutely,
you hit the reputation piece, and that's the big piece for a small business owner. You're working too hard to build something up for yourself, and just like that, it can crumble.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I want to go through this closing. You've talked to us a lot about the 3-2-1 rule, using immutable backups, choosing the right backup style, and focus on delivering exceptional care while knowing your data is secure. I think these are all, such great things for a business, whether they may be a 20-year business or just starting to get it started right, get in there and get it done right, because you don't know when a ransom event or a cyber event's going to happen, and by the time it happens, it's too late to get your data in the right place.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think those are some great closing words for sure.
Well,
yeah.
Josh, thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Josh was at a client's business right before this, helping them, and had to hurry over so he can.
The restaurant in the middle of lunch, the lunch rush.
So you have to get those things done. That's what Two Fish does. They got a love for their clients, and they want to be there to help them at all time. Hey, Robert even came in to sit and listen with us. Robert, what's up? Dave, always behind the control modules. We need to get a video, a camera for him. Have some B-roll of Dave. But hey, the rest of y'all, thanks for tuning in. Small businesses, we care about you. We care about your security. Come talk to Two Fish Technology if you've got any questions. And we'll come back in 2 weeks where we're going to continue to talk about the dental vertical. What are we gonna talk about?
I think we're even gonna have Jamie in here.
I think we're gonna have
the much prettier version or side of me.
And the real expert. On how
sure.
on the use of and the reason for having a good MSP in that area. So tune in 2 weeks. We'll see you then. Thanks, y'all.